This video is sponsored by Maracay & Star. For those of you who struggle to find something for that special lady in your life, Maracay & Star has you covered. They offer a line of high quality but affordable jewelry. Head to maracayandstar.com. Full disclosure, this is my wife's business and is the only person who would sponsor me. In today's video, we will be covering the 10 largest metro areas in the United States. Number 10, Phoenix, Arizona, 5 million people. In 2021, Phoenix passed Boston to become the 10th largest metro area in the United States. It is located in the dry and arid region of the United States known as the Basin and Range. This is a physiographic region that is an extension of the Great Basin. With long hot summers, short mild winters, and an average rainfall of only 8.5 inches per year, it is aptly named the Valley of the Sun. The dry climate and a growing population continues to strain the local environment as water consumption continues to increase. With more people living in the area, man-made wildfires have become more frequent and more damaging. If the residents of Phoenix got together and dug an almost straight hole to the other side of the earth, they would arrive at the island of Rodriguez in the Indian Ocean, which is suffering from the opposite problem of too much water. Rising sea levels have put this island at risk of being engulfed by the sea. By pumping excess water from the island of Rodriguez to Phoenix, Arizona, both places would be able to solve their primary problems faced by their environments. Number 9, Miami, Florida, 6.1 million. Miami is the southernmost major city of the continental United States. Miami has a tropical climate and is a popular destination for both vacation goers and people fleeing their country. Cubans, Venezuelans, Haitians, etc. make their way to Miami in search of a better life.
I brought my friend Carlos. He is from the Dominican Republic, and he is one incredible ball player.
Carlos, that's great. How old are you?
I'm 12.
We're like 1,200.
Check my birth certificate. He's legit.
It is also the narrowest metro area, sprawling out to the north and south because it is squeezed in by the east and the west by the ocean and the Everglades. While it is a narrow metro area, it has nothing compared to the narrowest city in the world, Yanjin, China. Yanjin is built along the Henjiang River, carving space out of the steep canyon walls. In most places, the width of the city is shorter than the length of 2 football fields side by side. This is true for both American football and European football. Despite the limited space, residents have found a way to pack housing, retail, food services, hotels, and entertainment all on top of each other to maximize their use of space. Number 8, Atlanta, Georgia, 6.1 million. Atlanta is one of the most forested metro areas in the world. It is uncommon for large cities to have much tree cover, but Atlanta has an estimated 40% of the city covered by trees. This tree coverage keeps the city streets several degrees cooler than in areas without tree coverage, and it has the added benefit of removing tens of millions of pounds of pollutants annually. Over the past few decades, increasing urbanization has led to deforestation in the city, which has resulted in much more flooding. Atlanta is perhaps the most cosmopolitan city of the South, with more than 75% of Fortune 1000 companies conducting business operations in the metro area. With such a diverse population, Atlanta is noted for its lack of Southern culture when compared with other major cities in the South, such as Birmingham, New Orleans, or Charleston. Number 7, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 6.2 million. Home to America's first zoo, chartered in 1859, it is the mural capital of the U.S., with more than 2,000 outdoor murals. This gives local artists an opportunity to create beautiful art across the city. If you find yourself overwhelmed with all of the beautiful art, you can snap out of it by checking out the world's ugliest mascot at a Phillies game. From 1950 to 2000, the city lost nearly a quarter of its population to emigration. The city has since regenerated itself as a tourist destination for American history and as a tech hub with an emphasis on biotechnology. Philadelphia has had a growing population for 2 decades in a row now as the city continues to focus on becoming a cultural and technological hub. Number 6, Washington, D.C., 6.4 million. The Washington, D.C. area is one of the most affluent areas in the entire world. It is home to the smartest and dumbest people that America has to offer. Depending on which side you vote for, that will tell you who the dumb people are. To all my Democrat friends out there, smash that like button because Republicans are dumb. To all my Republican friends out there, smash that like button because Democrats are dumb. When compared to other nations' capitals, Washington, D.C. is one of the smallest capital cities in the entire world, especially when compared with the relatively massive population of the United States. The U.S. is the third most populous country behind India and China. Most countries have their most populous city as the capital, such as Tokyo, Moscow, Mexico City, London, Cairo, etc. This means that Washington, D.C. is in 113th place as of 2019 when comparing its population to other capitals worldwide. Number 5, Houston, Texas, 7.2 million. Houston is the most racially and ethnically diverse metro area in the United States. For many years, Houston was known only as an energy town due to the massive amount of oil drilling in the area. It is still an energy city and still the epicenter of the oil industry, but it is also one of the greenest cities in the U.S. with a large and growing base for both wind and solar energy. If you pay attention to U.S. politics, you might find it ironic that Texas is likely to become the greenest state in America over the next 10 years. The city has diversified its economy, developing as a center for technology and software as well as biomedical research. Houston is home to the largest medical complex in the world, the Texas Medical Center, which employs more than 100,000 people. The most amount of rainfall ever produced by a single storm in the history of the United States occurred over Houston when Hurricane Harvey struck in August of 2017. The storm dumped an incredible 33 trillion gallons of water over Houston and the surrounding area. This is roughly the equivalent to dumping out the entirety of Lake Tahoe over eastern Texas, which obviously resulted in dozens of lives lost and more than $100 billion in damage. Amazingly, this pales in comparison to the wettest storm in written history, Cyclone Hyacinth. Right next door to the island Rodriguez that we discussed earlier when talking about Phoenix, Hyacinth tormented Réunion for 15 days, unleashing an incredible 253.3 inches of rainfall. If you thought dumping out Lake Tahoe over eastern Texas was bad, imagine emptying Lake Erie over this poor group of islands. Number 4, Dallas, Texas, 7.8 million. Just north of Houston, Dallas is typically the first city that comes to mind when people think of Texas. Known for oil, money, and excess, the American phrase, "everything is bigger in Texas," is an apt description. Dallas has big food, big people, and even bigger houses. Dallas is in fact the biggest inland city in the United States. Inland meaning it is not near the ocean or a navigable river that leads to the ocean. Unfortunately for Texan pride, Beijing, Moscow, Mexico City, New Delhi, and Paris are just a few inland cities bigger than Dallas. Sadly, not quite everything really is bigger in Texas. Number 3, Chicago, Illinois, 9.5 million. In the 1800s, Chicago rapidly grew and was actually the location of the world's first skyscraper, the Home Insurance Building, built in 1885. Chicago was also the site of the largest skyscraper in the Western Hemisphere for 41 years. This lasted until 2013, when the Willis Tower was surpassed by the One World Trade Center in New York. Chicago's rapid growth was due to its location in the Rust Belt. The Rust Belt was the center of U.S. manufacturing for decades before it began to be outsourced internationally. At one point, land was so valuable in the city that something known as the Great Removal Project took place. The city dug out many older buried bodies in the city cemeteries and moved them further out from the city in order to make room for more people. This could be why Chicago is considered one of the most haunted cities in America by ghost hunters. As the Rust Belt has diminished, so has the importance of Chicago. Cities are typically formed in geographically important locations where people are. With manufacturing outsourced, Chicago's importance is less about its location and more about the fact that there are simply a lot of people living there. As expected, this means that growth has diminished and even reversed in recent years. Number 2, Los Angeles, California, 13 million. The creative capital of the world, it is estimated that 1 in 6 of all LA residents work in a creative industry. There are more writers, filmmakers, actors, dancers, and musicians living in LA than in any other city in the world. The city has the highest air pollution in the United States and is putting a massive strain on the area with water demand. Despite the majority of voters in the area supporting environmental protection, efforts have only minimally helped with sustainable initiatives. Since 2020, more than 1.5% of the city's residents have left Los Angeles, with the most popular destinations being Texas, Arizona, Nevada, and Washington. With more than 200,000 people leaving the city, some question what the future holds. Number 1, New York City, New York, 19.8 million. Like Los Angeles, the largest city in the US has seen net negative migration. New Yorkers have preferred destinations like Texas, Florida, and North Carolina. Despite losing nearly 400,000 residents since 2020, New York City is still the most populous metro area by far. This is the financial capital of the world, accounting for roughly 4% of the entire gross domestic product of the United States. While the New York metro area is one of the most diverse in the world, the city's residents live in very segregated areas. This has been the case for most of the city's history, and has given rise to areas such as Little Italy, Chinatown, and Harlem. Despite net migration out of the city and increasing crime rates, the city is expected to grow through 2050.